Hello,
Hello,
welcome to the
Inda.
office hour. Give me a second so I share the screen. Yep, everyone, welcome to the office hour for Dynatrace App Development Edition November. My name is Indermoon Singh. I, along with my colleague Haris Hibish, we are your host for today. Hi Haris, how are you doing?
Hello, Inda. Nice to have you here. And nice to be here as well. Hello, everybody.
Cool. Along with Haris, actually, today we have our special guest today, Sinisa Zubish, who was part of our team, and now he's actually one of the special guests for us in this call. Sini, how are you doing?
Yeah. Hi everyone. Yeah, I'm doing good today, and thanks Inda for inviting me. I did in the past quite some office hours session, and giving me opportunity again to join here. Really like it.
I'm
Doing
glad
good,
that
by
you're
the
here.
way. How about you?
I'm really good, actually. Today we have really good lineup of the questions, so I'm really excited. Uh, so really happy. Actually, before we even start, we can use a couple of minutes, and before other people join, maybe some little stretching while even sitting. If you need something to drink, why not go ahead and just get something to drink? And we then talk about the agenda. So today we're actually going to do one announcement, or actually it's a reminder about the announcement. Then we actually have 3 good questions that we're going to talk about the solutions of the questions, and actually one wonderful tip that we got from our community member. Along with that, as I mentioned, that we have Sinisa Zubic, who is our in-house expert talking about app development and other stuff. He can answer your questions. So use this advantage that Sinis is here with us. Ask your question, write your comment there so we can answer your question there. Having said that, the first thing first, the Partner App Competition 2024 is still up and running. You have until November 30 for all the partners. Please go ahead, submit your application until November 30, and you actually have chances to win prizes. With the reminder done already, let me go to the first question that we selected for this session today. So our first question is actually downloading blocked by CSP. If I'm not wrong, we have Haris Ibic who answered this question. Haris, can you actually explain what was the problem and what was the solution there?
Yeah, of course. So basically, we've had a user that wanted to allow their users through the custom application to download some kind of content through their browser. The issue is really because of the browsers. The browsers are blocking with the CSP, so the content security policy. It's blocking the frame source from downloading the content into the browser and then to the user component. And as you can see, this user had the CSP error, as you can see, and it's complaining about a frame source. Now, in the frame source, you cannot actually avoid by adding or adjusting the content security policy to allow this to go through. So the answer to the solution to this problem is basically it's a little bit of a workaround because officially it's not an issue. It's just something that is generally blocked, and I found a GitHub repository where there is comments about it, and the solution is fairly simple. You load the content that you want the user to download into an iframe, and I've pasted here the sample code, which you basically load the content into the iframe and then it bypasses the CSP. While it's not the best solution, you can still make it work until we have something better in place.
Thank you,
Of course,
Haris.
if you have any questions, please let us know if you've had any issues downloading or making the downloadable content on your custom apps.
Sounds good. Sini, do you want to add something from security perspective or anything, any other detail you want to add there?
I mean, not really. I mean, in any case, if you load something externally, I mean, it's always on your risk, right? So be aware of what kind of stuff you're loading. You're responsible for it. So yeah, even though there's a workaround, yeah, always take care about what stuff you load from external pages.
Sounds good. Let's go to the next one. This one is again an interesting one. The question is unable to run npm run start command while creating custom app. As you can see from the error, the question is, I'm unable to run npm run start, but if you look at the error, it says missing script start. So people who know the front-end development, those npm scripts, they are part of the package.json file, right? In the package.json, you have a section called scripts, and you can only run those scripts which are mentioned there. So if for some reason you're running an npm run the script name, and it's not working, the first thing is actually to go there and just check if you have that script mentioned there. If it's not there, that's the culprit most likely, and that was the issue with this one. Anything else anyone want to add here? If not,
No, I think that's a pretty straightforward one.
Yeah, I'm surprised how I'm a bit surprised how it got deleted. I mean, usually the script is always part in there, and why is it not anymore there? But yeah,
I'm also quite surprised because for the audience, when you scaffold your application, by default, Dynatrace templates have certain scripts already there. These are actually the ones that are shown on the screen, so they should be by default there. If it's not there, highly likely either the project was not successfully scaffolded or someone deleted the script by mistake. So another way to test this stuff is, again, scaffold a new project and just compare your script. Could be that also for the start one, it's obvious that this was there from very beginning, but we might add new scripts. And if you have an old project, just scaffold the new project and compare the list of scripts in the new and the old, and then you get the new ones also in your project. That's one way of having the parity with the latest version. Let's go to the next one. So someone in the community actually wanted code assistance with using single value label. So basically, you can see here we have two single value charts, and we have the labels for those charts. One is an unavailability, and second one is performance. And the question is, Maximilian is asking basically, how can you change the label for the single value chart? Well, the short answer is you can't really change that. The single value chart's label value is basic size of the label is actually calculated dynamically based on the screen width and other parameters. So you can't really change that. Of course, you can do some JavaScript and CSS magic, and then you can override those dynamic values generated by the chart. But I wouldn't really recommend that. Having said that, there's another solution that you can use, which is basically, if I get back here, instead of using a label here, you can actually use a heading component just above the single value, and then you can write the label in the heading. And if you look at this question, actually, this is another answer that is provided there, that yes, it's not possible, but there is another workaround that might work for you. Anything else someone wants to add?
I mean, not really. You could always build your own component if you want. So if you don't like Dynatrace components, you just build your own component. So this is what we offer out of the box. And you can customize some things. And if you still see a need, feel free to write your own component and use that one.
This is a very good point. I just want to maybe emphasize that. Yes, of course, you can do literally whatever. It's a front end, so you can change stuff by creating your own component, tweaking the current component. But what you lose is basically the value that the Strato provides. There's huge team working on the Strato that they provide a lot of tested component. They have been verified from UX perspective and from the code perspective as well. And there is a reason for things. The reason for label, there's a reason behind why you can't change the label. As I mentioned, the size is dynamic. So when you try to somehow edit this component, you might not end up with the result you want. So think about again, if you want to change certain things, do you really have to change that? Does the current solution work or not? Ask this question, and then of course, if it's really the case, do ask this question in the community. Maybe your reasoning is valid, and we will take back your feedback to the teams, and then they will try to get the updates, and then we will bring those updates to you back as well. I think this is the last one. Sini, maybe I give it to you already, since you are the expert in this kind of stuff. Can you actually walk us through with what's going on in this dip and explain us that a bit more?
Yeah. So Hank seems to be working quite a lot with Dynatrace workflows, and he has like many workflows, and he wants an easy way, or an easy one-point stop where he can trigger workflows, where he can maybe also give them as an input somebody, like, right? And what he literally did, he used Dynatrace dashboards, like, and in Dynatrace dashboards he added some variables, like the request type, endpoint, environment, body, and so on. And those constants, or those variables, he uses as input for some code snippets, for some JavaScript code snippets, which run also in dashboards, and where he just triggers calls to the Dynatrace API to trigger workflows. So literally using workflows as a UI of triggering workflows, of working with workflows, let's say, on a bigger scale, because it's easy just with a Dropbox. So you change the request type, you change the endpoints, the workflows, you change the environments. Also, what he has also added in as part of this dashboard is the whole OAuth token flow. So with changing the environment, you can also change the OAuth tokens. So actually managing multiple workflows, or triggering workflows in different environments just from one dashboard. So quite easy solution. I mean, potentially you could also build an app about it, but if you don't need a fancy app and way to solve this use case, like you have one environment and access other environments, you can use a dashboard and do the API calls, and as part of this also have the OAuth tokens for authorization. And by changing the variables, you trigger those workflows, and they run in the other environments, and you see the result here in dashboards. Yeah, I hope I've summarized it properly. Inda, you're muted.
Sorry, didn't realize. Maybe also to
A little bit of a connection issue, maybe.
Yeah, we seem to have some connection issues, but in the meantime,
it's the input which.
In that,
Yes.
you cut off a little bit.
You have a connection problem.
Okay, that's interesting. Can you guys see my screen?
Yeah, but yes.
And my connection is bad.
Yep.
Okay, let me stop sharing actually, since we are actually done with all the questions, and we have only this one. Let me stop sharing. Can you hear me now? Perfect.
Yes.
So, yeah, I can add already the stuff that I wanted to add, but maybe we can already go to questions first, and then we talk about another news. So, that's the first question. We have an API gateway called APGX. Inside that, we tend to lose traces. A lot of the example I've seen to add that required third-party OTA libraries to add traces. Any way to only use TT API? I guess, Sini, this goes to you.
Yeah, tricky question. So you have Google API GX, and when traces go through this component, you seem to be losing traces. Not sure. I mean, to be honest, I don't have that many insights about our support when it comes to API GX. But I would recommend that you reach out to tech support, who will for sure help you with the question. Because yeah, it's a quite detailed question. I don't really know how the kind of support we have for Google API G and why you're losing traces. But please reach out to our tech support. So you have the in-product chat and ask the same question there, and they will help you with this issue for sure.
Yeah, to be honest, I can maybe just give a quick answer to this. We do have an extension for APIGX to get insights into the service metrics collected from the API. But as far as I'm aware, you do use the OTel API to push traces that are lost. That would be it. I think it's not going to be out of the box for it. It's going to be it's not added yet, as far as I know. But it would be best to reach out to our support to confirm this, as Sini said.
Thank you. So there's no other question, I assume. So let me try to reshare again. I hope that the demo goals are with me. And meanwhile, Sini, you can answer the second question while I start to share.
Yeah, sure. So we have a question regarding, is the session recorded? So yes, all of our office hours sessions are being recorded. So it's online, so happening live and also being recorded. And after this session, we will share the session on YouTube. So on the Dynatrace YouTube channel, you will find all our office hours session. So for the future, so that you can rewatch them if you want.
Thank you. This is something that I was sharing. This is a tip that we shared today, that basically what you can do is with the dashboard, you can use the variables in the dashboard, and then you can, of course, then tie it to workflows, and then you can trigger workflows within your dashboard. I think this tip was purely for sake of testing and stuff, but I still wanted to share the crux of it. As you can see here, this is something called as variable. The name is variable, and you can have multiple type of variable. In this case, this is a variable of text type, so you can basically add anything. So you would see when I would update this stuff, something on the screen would change. Inder Haris Sini. So when I do that, you can see there's already something happening. So this is this default feature we have, that if you have variables, wherever the variable is used, that stuff gets updated basically. And what you can do is within that, you can do all sort of stuff. You can execute TQL, you can also execute JS code. And in this case, you can see I'm updating, just running a JS code here, getting some credentials, then doing SSO also, as it was mentioned in the tip. But you can, again, as said, you can use the variables that you have created in your dashboard just by using $. And that way you have access to the user value. And based on that, you can, of course, do whatever you want to do. You can execute workflow. You can also wait for some time and actually fetch the value of a workflow result, and so on and so forth. And I think that's basically the crux of this whole tip that was mentioned by our community user. With that being said, I'm not sure if we have more questions. We don't have any more questions, right?
I don't see any additional questions coming in.
Maybe a question to you, Sini. What do we usually use? Do we wait until the end of the session? We have another question, actually. Let me read the question for you. Is there a way to get the user info for whoever is looking at the page? For example, when someone goes to dashboard showing hi users on the dashboard, I think it's fairly simple. Sini, handing it over to you.
It's so if you build a custom app, then you can get there are SDKs available, so you will find on developer.dynatrace.com where you can get the current user info, and you can add like dynamically like hello whomever. The same also applies to dashboards. So you can if you want, you can have a custom JavaScript snippet as part of your dashboard, and then the first style would be hello user whatever. So you could display the same information like who is visiting as part of dashboard. So yes, you can do it with Dynatrace custom apps, and also as part of a dashboard if you execute that kind of code. If you have a JavaScript code that you just run and which retrieves you the user information and writes like hello whoever is logged in, and the proper SDK for it. So we have just shared it. We will share it soonly on the socials. So it's the app environment SDK, and you need to check the get current user details. Yeah, thanks.
Perfect. Getting back to my question, Sini, what do we usually do? Do we wait for more questions?
No, we have usually quit small talk, and if there are no more questions, then we end the session sooner. But I see we have some other questions.
We would love to be able to have a standard landing page dashboard that is changed depending on some group info for the user looking at it. Would that be same pattern?
Let me think about this question. We would love to be able to have a standard landing page dashboard that is changed depending on some user group info for the user looking at it. Yeah, you could apply the same pattern actually. You could apply exactly the same pattern.
But then further question, so dashboard is the app that the consumer partners are not controlling, right? It's the dashboard team controlling the app. I think the question is, if I can change the landing page of the dashboard based on the different group of the user that the customer has, or in this case partner, right, or whatever. So how do you actually achieve that? I reckon it's really tough question to answer.
I mean, you would have one. You create one dashboard, right? And this one dashboard you share with everybody, and dynamically you pull up the tiles or add links on this dashboard based on your user group information, based on the user information.
I'm not sure if I think we can ask again, but what does landing page dashboard means here, right? Because I get that if you have a dashboard, of course you can then have a different view for that, but landing page seems like this is the default page that would appear when you have a dashboard.
Yeah, as soon as you open notebooks, there are already some preset dashboards, and you could have there one which says, hey, with whatever name, or have this as a shared one which is on top.
Mm-hmm. That's interesting use case also. Cindy, we have another one. Let me read the whole question out. I don't know if my question relates to app development or not, but can I ask in the infrastructure and operation app, how does Dynatrace monitor and display health metrics, logs, and events for all infrastructure entities like my host in full stack mon? I think this definitely goes to you, Sini.
Yeah, specifically, how can I track metrics such as CPU usage, memory usage, total disk space used, and network traffic? Let me just quickly think. So we're talking about the infrastructure and operations app, and how Dynatrace monitors the health metrics, logs, and events for all the infrastructure entities like my host in full stack monitoring mode. Specifically, how can I track? I'm not sure if I fully understand the question. So because so regarding the health metrics, we use Davis AI, or Davis has some indicators which might indicate that an entity like a host has some issues. So if those health indicators are, maybe if a CPU usage is over a certain threshold, like 90%, if Davis basically, so then Dynatrace AI detects any anomaly of your metrics, or of your metrics being sent from a host. If there's some anomaly detected, then yeah, we might flag a host, an entity, as not healthy. If you want to track such metrics like CPU usage, memory usage, total disk space, and so on, when you use the Dynatrace infrastructure and the infrastructure and operation app, you see all those charts. Like if you have a look on a host, you might see you can jump to the CPU usage chart, you can jump to the memory consumption chart, and what you can do there, when you click on the chart, there's a button which says Open With, and you can, for instance, a particular metric from a host you can pin on a dashboard, and if you want to track them, like the metrics of a host, so you can go from the infrastructure and operation app, select those charts which you like to be pinned on a dashboard, pin them on a dashboard, and track them. I hope that I've understood your question properly. You're muted in the.
Thank you, Sini. We have updated from the last question, actually, to add more context to the question, which was about the list landing page dashboard, which is basically like the customer might have multiple app teams, and they maybe want to, for instance, just have put the people in different management zones, and then when the management zone changes, that this change appears in the app, and then the things look differently based on different management zone. Basically, that's the idea, which, if I'm not wrong, at the moment not happening, right? Because again, it's up to app teams to, even if it's possible, if apps team have to implement that thing first, right, for it to appear.
So I mean, now with more details, I wouldn't use notebooks for that. I wouldn't use dashboards for that. I would maybe just build an app, like a custom app where you cover all those things. So based on the management zone information somebody belongs to, you want to display some different information, different KPIs, and you want to pull information like as soon. Now I see where this is going. So as soon as somebody logs in, based on the user context, you want to show only the information about the apps that person is belonging to. So what you're asking for is similar to the dashboards functionality what we have. So in the classic dashboard. So if you look at the dashboard, you only see data of your dashboard. Like if you look at the dashboard, you have maybe some KPIs. I don't know, like failed requests or the health about your application, and you have this management zone filter on top of it. And with the new Dynatrace dashboards, or with this all new Dynatrace features, so you have there two things. You have you can control what a person sees based on permissions. So if you have a health dashboard, a generic health dashboard, then you will see the data aggregated by like all the data you can see. But what maybe you are looking for is a management zone filter. And we have just released, I think it was last week's, a feature called Dynatrace Segments. Let me share this in the chat. So what we have added, a new feature called Dynatrace Segments. So if you open, doesn't matter if it's a dashboard or notebook, you can apply a filter similar to management. So you can apply a filter. So you only maybe see the data for one filter, and you can define a filter to be dynamic. So a filter might be, you scope a filter maybe just for your application or for one team. So with this new segments concept, you will be able to have the same filtering functionality you're used to the Dashboards Classic with management zones. So you change the management zone, then all the data on your dashboard changes. And now, I see also the link is now being shared on in the chat. So feel free to check out Dynatrace segments, how you define them, how you can make use of them in dashboards and notebooks. And segments is something which will be used in every Dynatrace app if it's not yet implemented in there. So segments is a global concept, will be used by every app, and it's just filtering. So filtering the data you see on the screen, and you define those segments as you want. Segment can be an app, segment can be the data of a team. So however you want, you can give a segment a name, Team Alpha, Bravo, and use them in any Dynatrace app.
Thank you, Zeni. I don't think we really have more questions. I'm gonna wait for 30 seconds since questions definitely come up. We have a thank you from one of member. We have another question. Do you have a link to a good example for building out the custom application? I think we can already share. It's not a full-fledged example, I would say, but we can share at least a tutorial, Dynatrace app tutorial. Give me a second. Yeah, thank you, Cindy. So we'll quickly share now the link to the tutorial. With this tutorial, what you have is basically, we have written tutorial on the Dynatrace developer where you can go step by step to build something, which is not just like a basic sample, but you can actually, you're fairly touching multiple aspects of Dynatrace app development. For instance, getting data from Grail, communicating with different apps, showing stuff on the screen, stuff like that. I'm pretty sure that would help. And we'll actually think about how we can provide you more example. And if there is some update there, we'll share this with you in the next office hour. Yes, Ini.
There's another question.
Mm-hmm.
So Harold is asking where I could find an example in how to upload metrics for an actually unsupported CI to Dynatrace. For example, a custom Linux machine, no auto, but there are values we can extract from an API exposed by the app. So for unsupported operating systems, there are two things. What we offer, one is the Dynatrace remote Unix monitoring extension, and I will also share the link in the Slack, not the Slack, in the chat. So this link will be in the chat. So we have the Dynatrace remote Unix monitoring. It collects what it does. It collects some basic. So if your server is accessible via SSH, we can extract some basic metrics and put it into Dynatrace. So there's not much configuration needed besides adding this remote Unix monitoring extension. And what you also want to do, you want to extract values from an API exposed by the app. So I assume your app has an API, and you want to grab some metrics from those API and put them into Dynatrace. There are two ways. I mean, Dynatrace has an API where you can just ingest metrics. So either you build some logic scripting on your side to grab those, to call those APIs and ingest the metrics into Dynatrace, or you can actually build a custom Dynatrace workflow with Dynatrace workflows, you build a workflow which calls your API, fetches those metrics, and ingested them into Dynatrace. So like 2 ways forward if you're interested into those into collecting metrics from an API from your app. So either you script something yourself, ingest it into Dynatrace API, or you build a Dynatrace custom workflow. And maybe you should also share the link to workflows. I will also share the link to Dynatrace workflows. So if you're interested into it, so you can build your custom workflow. It's again just it's custom JavaScript. So you script it, you call your API, and maybe you massage the data, format it however you want it, and then you ingest it into Dynatrace API. And yeah, the link to workflows will be shortly shared in the chat.
Thank you, Zini. Let's wait again, maybe 30 more seconds, and we might have more questions. And let's see if we miss anything.
I think we are good. Scrolling through all the questions.
That's perfect. Let me share then the last bit. I also wanted to share that recently we also released a developer newsletter for the month November. We have a couple of, again, announcements. One was actually this office hours, but I definitely want to highlight this kind of stuff, and also a newsletter in general, that we will add this kind of stuff in future. One is that one of the features in the app development is actually that every app that is available in your environment actually can show the keyboard shortcuts that they have in the application. And this is such an interesting feature, and somehow I think it's not that visible for many people, and just wanted to highlight this to our community, that yes, as an app developer, you can have if you have shortcuts, you can show it in a very consistent way. And this is also mentioned in the newsletter. We have other stuff mentioned also in the newsletter. Do check our newsletter. In the future, once you would have this kind of useful resources as well, and also updates and all of the stuff about upcoming events mentioned there. With that said, I think we're done for this session today.
We have another question.
It's really good. Let me read the question for you, Zini. In infrastructure and operation app, my host named front end has 2 issues: CPU saturation and a process CPU problem. For the CPU saturation issue, my host CPU usage is at 99.79%. Could you clarify which CPU usage threshold was exceeded for Dynatrace?
Yeah, regarding that one, so as said, what Dynatrace Davis anomaly does. So we create a baseline. So if you install the one agent on the host, we baseline all the metrics that are being sent to Dynatrace, and we build a baseline. And based on the past, if you exceed this baseline, so whatever your CPU consumption was before the alert was was raised, or before the problem was detected. So what I want to say, we create a baseline based on metrics like CPU consumption. And if you breach this baseline, then we create an event, or we create a problem. And so you should check, like, how did it behave before? What was the CPU consumption before the event? And you literally, violated this baseline, and therefore we created an event. For more details of your particular issue, why this happened, since I don't have access to your environment and don't see, like, cannot investigate, feel free to reach out or in product help. So use the chat button or reach out to to our people doing Dynatrace chat, and they will have a look into this and give you a more detailed explanation than a high-level one from my side. And you seem to have a second problem, the CPU saturation problem. It indicates that the process CPU usage was above normal behavior. Could you specify what threshold or level Dynatrace considers as normal for process usage? So as said, so one factor of calculating or detecting a CPU usage breach is that we create a baseline, and if you breach this baseline, we raise a problem. Also, what you could do, you can also so if but I want to say if a behavior of 99.79% for you is an acceptable one, then Dynatrace should also be able to at least not alert you about such kind of issues. But for more detailed questions, please and your example, reach out to our support via in product or via the link support.dynatrace.com.
Perfect. I think we are through all the questions. I think that should be it for today's session. Thanks a lot, Haris and Sini, for joining us. It was really a wonderful session. We answered a lot of interesting questions. We shared also a tip, which is a new one. I think in this office hour, right, we shared something interesting from a community member. So I'm really happy about that. With that being said, I think today's wrap now is wrap, and see you next time.